have long been behind some of the most impressive achievements in food world throughout the history. And there is no better time to celebrate them than on International Women's Day on March 8th. These women have created legacies. Learning about them and highlighting their work will hopefully allow for even more profound change to come. We ourselves are a women first organization. And last Women's Day, we had a fantastic panel of Ms. Niharika Goenka, who is the founder of Arugula & Co., Ms. Aditi Handa, co-founder of Baker's Dozen, and Ms. Surbhi Talwar, co-founder of Happy Jars. And this year, we have another 3 accomplished women entrepreneurs as we explore their journey so far and also getting their views on the future for women in food and advice on how to go about it. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our panel today. To start with, we have Ms. Namrata Sundaresan, who is an Indian social entrepreneur, chef, and a cheesemaker. She has won 2017 Nari Shakti Puraskar with Anuradha Krishnamurthy. She's also a co-founder of Kase Cheese. Namrata has a background in business consulting, specializing in international trade and investment. She travels to learn various traditional forms of cheese making and comes back to her cheese studio to adapt it to the local resources. She has learned cheese making from some of the most prestigious institutes around the world. Welcome, Namrata. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Surabhi. It's a very kind introduction. Thank you.
Welcome. Next, we have Ms. Rubal Chib, who is the co-founder and CEO of qZense Lab. Rubal is an electronics engineer with over 8 years of experience in building IoT products. Her venture qZense is building the next generation IoT solutions for fresh food quality assessment and management. Rubal, it's a pleasure to have you here today as well. Welcome.
Thank you.
And finally, we have Ms. Raksha Kothari, who is co-founder of DESi, which is a packaged food brand inspired by Indian flavors and formats. They bring forgotten regional foods directly from farmers' kitchens to your plate. Welcome, Raksha, and it's also your birthday, so a very happy birthday from all of us once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Surabhi. Thank you so much.
Okay. And before we start, a little bit about myself. I am Surabhi Soral. I am a consultant with Food Safety Works. We are a food safety consulting company based out of Bangalore with offices in Mumbai and Delhi. And I also head the regulatory and compliance division here. Starting with Namrata. Namrata, you have background in business consulting, specializing in international trade and investment. And then you started making cheese. Can you share a little bit about how you made the switch and what led you to start Kase Cheese? And have you faced any challenges during your journey being a woman?
All right, that's a lot of question and a very broad expanse to that. But let's start with making the shift or how this journey. So I think the journey started with my love and passion for food. So I am somebody who would travel a lot and get down to what made a regional cuisine really special and try to pick up local condiments and spices, come back, recreate something. I always loved my consulting work that I did for about 17 odd years. I was extremely fond of it, but then somewhere there was always this thing that I would get to a food-based business. And the only thing that I had in mind was opening up a cafe. If any of you has come to Chennai or if the audience can relate to it, this is amazing little cafe in the heart of the city called Amethyst. And have spent many hours over there. It feels like you're sitting in the midst of a little jungle, tropical forest. And I used to think that, okay, one day after I want to retire, I'm going to open something like Amethyst and do it. But the journey to cheese actually happened. Getting introduced to cheese making happened at a little farm stay in Kunur. But it actually turned into something of a business, primarily because of my business partner, Anuradha. So Anu and I were having a chat. We knew each other for a couple of years. So she's somebody into social enterprise. She runs a venture called Can Do, and that works with people who are differently able, trains them on different job skills. And she wanted help. So I was the person who knew food and she had the social background. And she came up to me and said, I have a bunch of young girls. Can they be trained in baking? And I had just come back from making cheese. I said, you know what? I'll teach them how to make cheese. Let's make cheese. And this was early 2016. And Anu was like, but why cheese, and who will buy cheese? And never mind, let's just start small, make something. So I come from a background where it was very structured, and they would talk about business plans and what's the market and look at that. But qZense has been a journey which has been, it has grown from strength to strength, right? It has been exploratory. We've not been in a rush, probably because Anu and I were also doing it in our early, sort of late 30s and early 40s. The pace of life for both of us, we wanted to give it that time to grow. Understand this, because neither of us had a background in food. So it's been 6 years so far, and it's been beautiful. So a lot of it has evolved. Now, to start off with challenges, I think there's been a biggest challenge, which is making cheese in Chennai, which is what raises eyebrow for most people. Like, how can you make cheese in Chennai? But as you discover it, and as you go deep into cheese making, I'll not go deep into it, but you realize that cheese making as a traditional form, which was milk preservation, was discovered in the warmer countries and not really in Europe or a cold country. Yeah. So we learned to make our challenges a bit of our strength and work with that. Honestly, I don't think it was a challenge of being a woman that I have seen more. That probably was more in the consulting business where, higher up, it's very male dominated. The food industry, the artisan community of food in Chennai, in Bangalore, in Coimbatore, places that we have been to and had our pop-ups or events in the earlier days, has been really, really nice. But I think one of the biggest challenges when you see a woman who's shifted from a, say, paying job or a career and is trying to do something else, and it's niche, it's small, it's food, for most of the time, and I would say 90% or more, you just put in a bracket saying, it's a lifestyle business. Oh, it's a hobby. It's a passion. It's a home-based business. Even now, I never did cheese making from home. We started out small, but we grew in that place for 5 years. But most often people say, oh, qZense is a home cheese making venture, right? So often you get bracketed as that because growth and, as you say, scale is often attributed, and there are some structured parameters, and that's how people view it. That has been a challenge, but otherwise I wouldn't say there's been a challenge of being a woman. We've been very, the community as such has been really supportive. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Namrata. Yes, you did, and in a very nice manner. Thank you for that. Moving to you, Rubal. Rubal, you are an electronics engineer with years of experience in building up IoT products.
Yeah.
What was the seed that led to what is now qZense Labs is?
Right. So I think the major thing was that coming from the heartland of agri in India. So I have my family in Mohali, and we are basically from Punjab. And seeing a lot of agri around, I think technology and being a technologist myself, I have been looking at how technology can be employed. But I think what really changed while I was working was I understood that IoT is very powerful way of improving efficiency of any process, right? We have employed IoT to improve efficiency of booking cabs or like anything, ordering food, everything where you're taking data, GPS data, any sensor data, and being able to make the operations efficient. While something where the inefficiency exists to a large extent is food supply chain, not knowing the shelf life of food, not knowing when to sell what commodities. This is a major decision, right? What will get rot, what will rot first, or what will go bad first, and hence sell that product first. So if this data is known, a lot of operations can be optimized. And that was our hunch. Being an IoT person, my co-founder is a PhD in biology and expert in agri. So when we met, we realized that sensor data can be used and data science can be employed to solve this problem. And this is a huge problem. We both knew about it. We have been reading about it. But yeah, we did do a lot of research on studying where the inefficiencies exist and why they exist and what important data we can capture so that this whole process of food management can be improved.
Thank you so much, Rubal, for sharing that. My next question is to you, Raksha. Raksha, you have an extensive experience in social sector and human resources. How did GoDesi happen for you? And has your previous experience been of any help in creating and launching your own brand?
Sure. Thanks, Surabhi. Thank you for asking this. So I'll just start with a little bit of a journey about GoDesi and how did that happen first before I move on to my experience in building this. Again, I think very similar to Namrata's story, GoDesi was completely by chance. It was not by design. We never had this idea that, we want to start this thing and, build something big out of this. So Vinay, who's the founder, he has an extensive FMCG background and he was just on a trek and he found these products, and he just thought that these products should be out in the market, like these regional traditional confectionery items which have like no additives, no preservatives, but still taste so yum. And we just happened to open a stall in a flea market, and we got products worth 3 days, and we got sold out in the first half a day. And I think that was the eureka moment where we decided that yes, I think there's a demand for such products in the market, and people are looking out for Indian, based treats or regional food, and get connected back to their roots. So that was how the entire GoDesi journey began, and I happen to become a part of it because I have a extensive, as you said, I have extensive background in social sector, and I've worked a lot with people in the rural ecosystem, and that's where my idea of aligning with GoDesi happened, and we. The entire sourcing and taking manufacturing back to the rural gate, farm gate, and procuring directly from farmers and have the local communities come up and make these products was the whole idea of this brand. So that's where my experience and my alignment happened with the whole idea of GoDesi.
Thank you so much, Raksha. Each of your brands, although they are very vastly different in product type, share a common thread of natural or local ingredients, healthy habits, and sustainable practices from both the people as well as the environment perspective. Starting again with you, Namrata. Namrata, you are empowering differently able women by training them and giving them jobs. Why do you think it is important?
I think there are many ways of looking at this, Surabhi. I mean, we have asked ourselves this question, and unlike what one might think, it's not easy to actually employ girls who are differently able and retain them. So what we realized is that we always thought, it's different how you have an opinion and you think of the world differently, and then you get exposed to it. And now again, bringing Anu, because she's an integral part of this. I'm missing her next to me because the story of Kase is not complete without her by the side. But it's her experience and of many years, because she is the one with the social background, her journey, and she had been working with people. Now what we saw is that when we wanted to work with the girls and we trained them, there was always this thing of you don't want to work in a kitchen setup. You don't want to be in the kitchen. You want to have a desk job. You want to be doing something which feels important. And it was not just for them, but also for the family, right? Their families needed to feel that the children were doing something a little more important and not necessarily be working in a kitchen environment. So for us as a company, we always wanted to, I think this part was by design. Anu and I both being women, and we wanted a team of girls to work with. We wanted in my consulting journey, again, had been very different, where I used to work with a team of men or boys or, but here in this, we wanted them to feel a part of it. I think one part of that thing was that women inherently are very creative. Cheese making and what we do are not machine made large blocks of cheese, but handcrafted blocks of cheese, right? It's artisan, it's natural. And I think women are blessed with that inherent thing of creating something, being good with their hands, the whole creative process. The next thing was when you work with, for say today, for somebody who's a smart young graduate, even with a home science or a arts background coming out, in the urban scape, there are a lot of opportunities that are available to them, right? But somewhere when you are a girl from an underprivileged background, are not exposed to a lot of opportunities, yet we have realized how smart they are. We wanted to do our bit in just empowering them, right? Now we realized that cheese making was not necessarily empowering them. We wanted, so for them, when the girls come and work with us, and this could be for 6 months, for 1 year, for 2 years, for as long as they want, because these are mostly young girls in the early 20s. They would get married and move on. We decided that we would train them on how to run a small business. So tomorrow, if they want to go and work with a small business or do one for themselves and start a home-based business, they know the threads of it. So it's right from creating a product, maintaining accounts, creating inventory, billing, stickering, packaging. They go through the whole gamut of services, right? So that they know a complete workflow. And like I said, they could be employed somewhere else. So I think the Nari Shakti recognition also, which happened in March 2018, was something that led us to this very conscious decision that we always work with girls, differently abled or from underprivileged backgrounds. But over the years, it also has become a little broad in our definition, because now we are making cheese in 4 different locations. So the heart of qZense is impact. Whether it's a community, whether it's girls, we want to create impact. And that is what we try to do.
Thank you so much, Namrata. That's very beautiful thing that you are doing. Thank you for doing that. And coming back to you, Rubal, Rubal, you aim to help fresh fruit retailers and minimize the loss of fresh fruits and vegetables with your IoT solutions. And your solution grades fresh food by analyzing the internal spoilage, ripeness, and shelf life and sweetness of that particular fruit or vegetable. Can you elaborate on how your product works towards this?
Sure. So so the major, as I said, that what we realized when we studied the food supply chain is that nobody knows the processes that are going inside food. So food is living, right? And that's why it has to be treated differently than any other commodity, right? So for example, a broken car will not, standing in front of a good car will not cause the good car to decrease its efficiency or its quality. But in food that happens. A rotten apple will cause degradation of everything around it. So that's how food is very different from any other commodity, and that's why such decisions are also more important, where you need to take out anything that is causing damage to surroundings also, right? And how our technology works is we are trying to assess what is, so food is having a lot of biochemical process. Even when it is taken out of, for example, a fruit, even after getting harvested, there are biochemical processes that are going on inside the food even after the harvest, right? And we try to assess those processes and measure those processes by knowing, one, the constituents of the food, the current constituents, for example, the sugar content, which is a good indicator of ripeness, then water content, then dry matter, these things to assess the quality of food. And then also study some of the gaseous compounds, which is, for example, even the best indication for knowing a bad food item is you smell it, right? Because those gases are produced, and you can somewhere intuitively also know. So we are assessing those gaseous compounds also, which are nothing but gases produced by microbes and the processes that are happening. And we are also assessing those to know the food degradation rate, and also hence predicting the shelf life. So how we are working is first understanding the food's current state and then predicting the shelf life of it.
Thank you, Rubal. I'm sure this is going to address one of the biggest problem of our country, the food security, wastage of food. I really hope that you get there really soon. And now on to you, Raksha. Raksha, can you share how DESi is bringing the forgotten regional foods to this millennial generation who are more inclined towards the Western food trend. So whatever is on Instagram is what they want to eat. So you have been also rated as one of the fastest growing D2C brand. Congratulations on that as well. So did pandemic affect your strategy at all? And how did you, how do you attract the millennial generation towards these kinds of products?
Sure. I think, that's very true. Should be the, getting millennials attracted to the forgotten foods is something, very, very, I won't say it's difficult, but it's definitely a challenge because all the new age brands or, or the new age products look very fancy, in terms of those forgotten foods. I think GoDesi is all about, being loud and being proud about being Desi. So we tend to do that through all our products, through our packaging. We tell stories of these products, where we get them from, coming directly from the farms. How are these grown, or how are these made, or how these products you would have had them in your childhood. So getting those stories out is what helped us getting these products back to the millennials. And as you correctly put, so just to give you an example, like it's like after a meal before, or in at least in my childhood, we would have a churana, we would have sof and everything, but now all of these are being replaced by, say, like a tic tac, or a mint, which is more millennial, or because it looks cool, or it looks very, it's easily carryable, and people like to carry such cool product. But so we try to get that this, and but being the product is healthy, the soft or the churran, and their digestives and all of that, but still people don't like to carry them because they don't attract, they're not attractive, or they're not like called to this generation. So we do that through our packaging, we do that through our stories, and we do that through telling that these products are something that is very healthy, no preservatives, no colors, no flavors, etc. And at the same time, they connect you to your roots, right? So that's the whole idea of about being desi. So that's what we were trying to do with our products, and that's how we are getting these millennials to use these products with the stories that we tell about these products. I think it's all about that. Pandemic, yes, it did affect in both good ways and bad, of course. Good ways because people have become more health conscious, and they want more healthy snacks. Even if it is snacks, they want healthy, like sugar free, no refined sugar, no preservatives, all of that. So that way it is it has been a positive thing for us, because all our products are without all of these. We give them preservative free snacks, and our candies are without any refined sugar. It's all made of jaggery. So these things have helped us. At the same time, our products are cottage industry products, so there was a challenge convincing people that they are hygienically made. There is high standards of quality that is being maintained in the production. So all of that was a challenge to convince that these are coming directly from rural kitchens, but at the same time there is the standard of a brand, or there is a standard of what a food safety regulatory thing would have. So yeah, I think that was a challenge for us, but yes, we've overcome that through our products for sure. Yeah, trying to at least. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Raksha. Quality and consistency are key aspects for any brand, but a crucial and most often commercially less focused upon aspect is food safety. And across the supply chain, from procuring your raw materials, preparation of your product, sales and services, this is just not a regulatory compliance issue, but also an essential requirement for a consumer and for a brand, as just Raksha was saying. So on the similar lines, coming to you, Namrata, you are in artisanal cheese industry, and this industry is growing in India at a good pace, but still there are very less big players in this space. What are the biggest challenges faced by industry, and do you think regulatory plays a little role here as well?
Huge.
And how do you address the food safety issues? Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I said huge, Surabhi. I'm sure you will relate to this. So what happens is, artisan cheese as a category is not understood in India. right? Consumers are getting to understand it, and consumers would understand, okay, made with good milk or A2 milk. Will not get into the details of that, but that's what people want to know. And of course, cheese by nature, or when we say natural or artisanal cheese, is basically cheese culture, which is almost like a yogurt kind of thing, which is microbial cultures. There is unrefined or unprocessed sea salt, and then there is rennet, which is an enzyme, and we don't, obviously not an animal rennet, but a plant-based rennet or a microbial rennet. Now, these are the only things that go into it, right? So cheese essentially by definition is milk solid separated from the liquid and then preserved by the addition of the salt. And then you deploy things from nature, and you almost when I talk about it in detail, it almost sounds like witchcraft, which it's not. But so what happens is, what the biggest challenge that I faced on this regulatory compliance side, and we have a really nice FSI consultant who works with us. She's on board. She takes care of a lot of statutory things. Now, from the beginning, I have realized that cheese as such is either bracketed with milk or with processed cheese. Now, processed cheese is a completely different thing, which has got 80% added fat. So it's a stable product. It can be kept on shelf. It does not really need temperature control the way artisan cheese does. Because what happens in artisan cheese is give it a little bit of warmth, and then the protein and the fat would just separate out, right? So regulation wise, I think we have a long way to go, and I'm sure you and you guys could definitely help us out there. And then the next thing is the players, right? So by nature, or in the last few years, if you see, people are becoming more aware of what they eat, and the consumer-led demand has led to rise of artisan cheese makers. But the way the industry is that we, compliance-wise, we're not really quite there. And then another huge challenge that we have is, as a country, we do not have uninterrupted cold chain. And we are a hot country wherever you go. The mountains are all there, dotted along the side, but predominantly all the plains. So whether it's Kolkata, whether it's Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, Bangalore. I mean, Bangalore, of course, is much cooler, but we all have the problem of heat. So transporting cheese becomes a huge issue. How do you do it? As a company, we took 5 years to push ourselves to start shipping, and that too after n number of trials, where we saw that, with a frozen gel pack, the right kind of packaging, thermocol box, and everything, the cheese is good inside that, and it's good to travel for up to 72 hours. Now we work with Blue Dart Airway, which is expensive and will kill us one day if we don't figure out something else. But then that is the only way to get the cheese to the consumer doorstep in 24 hours, 48 hours, while it's still slightly cool, needs to be refrigerated. Yeah. So logistics becomes a huge challenge. Now, in that case, when you look at smaller players, how can somebody start shipping and take that cost and grow their market, send it out? So, which is why essentially artisan cheese makers are bound to their own locations. Yeah. But today, I think a Bombay-based cheesemaker, Eleftheria, won international award the first time. And then we have a very nice cheesemonger. I mean, she's been doing it for the longest time, Mansi. She's received a lot of recognition internationally. So because of all that, we get to hear about a lot of, and there are probably about 4 players who have figured out how to ship. And I think we are only being able to do it because we have spent that much time not doing it and being sort of regional players, and now figuring our way around. So I would say the number 2 things, one is regulatory, and the other thing is cold chain. If these 2 improves, then artisan cheese will have a much wider spread in the country.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that. I am sure people, if regulatory people are listening to us, they will surely try to help all of us out here. And yeah, it has been a fantastic conversation so far. And people who have tuned in, you can post your questions and we will take them at the end of the session. Continuing with our conversation, to you, Rubal, you are building a product that addresses the issue from its core. As I was saying earlier, you are identifying the life stage of fresh fruit or a vegetable. IoT has been extensively used in many, many things, as you were listing down the things earlier. But somehow very little attention has been paid to its potential for use in food safety domain. What, according to you, can be the reason for this?
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, and I think we do see that technology adoption happens in the, like last where it should be happening at the first. So yeah, I think the reason for IoT being less penetrated in the domain of agri or food management is because one reason is that obviously the physical sensors or the common sensors that are used for all the other industries do not fit in directly for a agri, right? Because here you cannot just rely on temperature, humidity. For example, as in cold chains, temperature, humidity is definitely measured, and currently a lot of data is collected to maintain a certain temperature, humidity, so that food is temperature, humidity can be measured, but they are not enough, right? Because there are a lot of other things that can hamper the state of the food, and that's why it's important to understand food or the processes that go inside food to be able to measure correctly. So I think having a very specific sensor requirements which are subjective to the, for example, even we are doing for meat as well, meat and fish, and the sensors are completely different. They become different for meat because the gases produced are different. The processes that go inside a meat or a fish is different than what goes inside a dairy or a fruit or a vegetable, right? And that's why you need to choose those sensors based on what you're trying to measure, and that becomes subjective to the kind of food. And that's why that is the reason why a common IoT sensor or something that can be used, for example, temperature measurement, humidity measurement, or other basic parameters, pressure and all measurement, cannot apply directly to a food IoT deployment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rubal, for sharing that. I'm sure people who are listening to us understand how big potential this technology has and how much is there to explore. Raksha, talking about food safety again now. So you procure your products from small local businesses. How do you ensure that they comply with the regulatory requirements of our country and they understand the food safety practices and actually follow those practices at their places?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a lot of patience and constant work that you have to do continuously with these local entrepreneurs or micro entrepreneurs, I would say, and small SFGs, because for them, to be honest, they do not understand, food safety regulations, or they don't. It's nobody has come and told them about this. I'm sure they understand it, but nobody comes to them and talks to them about all of these things or trains them on all of these things. So it definitely is a lot of patience, and it's constant work. Like you can't tell them one day that I need fly traps, I need PVC curtains, I need this, and in your unit, and then go back and do not come to them again about tell them the importance of all of these things, because they don't understand all of that. So for them, it's really about training them, being with them in the whole journey of implementing these regulatory compliances, or the requirements of a food setup should have where food is being manufactured. So it definitely is a lot of patience and lot of just constant monitoring. That's what it requires, like being with them in the journey, because they should not feel I think what happens most of the time is when like companies go up to them and say that we need this and this, and then that's about it. You don't go back to them and understand what are their problems on the ground, what are their challenges, what they are, why are they finding it difficult. For them, it's about making and selling and making that much money, to run their business. I think that's about it. But how do you train them over the journey of implementing these is definitely much more important from the company's point of view. So for example, like now a jaggery farmer, he knows how to measure the bricks of the sugarcane which is being used in our jaggery. So constant upskilling them and being with them in that entire journey. So every time we get jaggery from him, he tells us what is the bricks content of the sugarcane that he has used for our jaggery, or what is the moisture level. So being with them in the journey is more important than kind of implementing or enforcing these regulations on them. So it takes time. If you tell them one day and then come back to them the second day that you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have an FSSAI license, you don't have this, so it then they just like, I might as well sell my produce to a trader. Why am I getting into all of this? So just, I think, being with them and explaining the importance of all of this, and for us also it was quite a learning journey. I think we've understood over the years how these food safety compliances or regulations work and why are they so important, from a brand point of view. So I think it's been a journey, and we are also 4 years into this. So explaining the entire learning from this and then explaining it to the smaller entrepreneurs or micro entrepreneurs has been like, quite a journey for us as well. But it will take time, but I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Policing never helps. You have to
Yes.
empower them. You have
Yes.
to enable them to, make them understand why something is important. And I totally can relate to your pain. We also work with similar organizations, sometimes very small entrepreneurs who come to us for help. And I understand your pain points over there.
Yes.
And a last round of questions before we open for the questions from our viewers. There's a lot of women who aspire to enter the food industry. They may find it difficult because of several issues like gender gap or patriarchal ideology or lack of support or maybe funds or maybe just lack of awareness and many other things. Starting with Namrata, what opportunities do you see for women in this space, and what drove you to persist with your idea and convert it into a viable business? More so since your core offering is a niche product in Indian context and one that requires special skills and focus, and of course, special other requirements as well.
Yeah.
The handling requirements, the temperature, humidity, and everything.
True. I mean, there is a lot that you learn along the way. But okay, so let me also say this, that cheese making as a profession or cheese making as something that you can go and learn and come does not exist in India, right? So for all the artisan cheese makers who are here today, their learning has been very different. It probably would have started, a lot of us actually, it's at Kunur. Like I said, I learned my cheese making during a holiday and I was just there, so I learned it. But a lot of people have actually gone there to learn and come. But it's not a professional degree or it's not a structured course that would help you to start a business. Yeah, so what I realized as well is that there are bits and pieces of this thing all over the place. So, but having said that, this is the industry that is poised for growth and there is a lot of opportunity there. Yeah, so I teach as well. I have structured this into a course and I work with people. Now it's not only to become cheese makers, but when people are making cheese, a huge part of this is also education and awareness. So somebody, what is typically called cheese mongering or selling, cheesemongers play a much important role in, say, the US or Europe and all that, where they know a lot about cheese. It's not only in India, but over there, people constantly want to know how to pair the cheese, what to have it with, how can I use this for cooking. So mongers are experts and they understand the customer and they would help sell. So I run a course, I teach it, and it's a certified course for the Academy of Cheese in London. So today, and another thing that I like to say is that I come from a generation where parents put this bracket saying, okay, if you're a son, you're doing engineering, and if you're a daughter, you're becoming a doctor, right? It's no longer like that. I mean, there are so many amazing opportunities that is available. And especially, I think cheese making, we see a lot of men in the kitchen and the corporate kitchens or restaurant kitchens. But cheese making is something that can be made small. You can cater to a close group of customers. Say you're a woman who lives in a community of a few hundred families, right? So you can definitely learn cheese making, make it into a viable business opportunity for yourself. Yeah. So I think today information is out there for us. And if you need to arm yourself, say, with a skill, look at your market, get a little structured. WhatsApp-based businesses are flourishing as well, right? I mean, you can be a business with just 10 different products. You need to have a payment gateway like a Instamojo or a Razorpay. Put your products out there. So today, what I'm saying is all the ammunition is available to you. You need to stitch it together and come up with that plan. So women, I think today are living in empowered times. I am somebody who never goes, equality, I think, doesn't exist, Surbi. So there is no clamoring for equality. And why would we clamor for equality? Because we are great. We have a different sense. We have been blessed with, if you want to call it the feminine power or whatever, we are different. And it's okay to thrive as being different, right? So to go back to the core of your question, somebody wants to get into food, a woman wants to get into food, there are enough opportunities available. A lot of threads, you need to spend a good amount of time in research, put it together. Don't jump into something because it's a fad or it's a trend. Yeah. And I see that increasingly where you see, home-based business, they are making a curry. Somebody is making, Raksha's business is beautiful. I've seen the packaging. I love the whole idea. And you see a lot of people jumping into a trend. It's not about the trend. It's about building a viable business for yourself. So I would say, think about it, think through. There's a beautiful tool that I often use called the business model canvas. I mean, I'm like a huge sort of ambassador for that. Download a business model canvas, design your own business for yourself, go through it, and reach out to the people who you think can help you in this growth thing. Instagram, LinkedIn, everything has made the world shrink, right? Everything is reachable for you. So today, I think as a woman, you should feel really empowered.
And I totally agree with you over there, Namrata. So hopefully other women also feel that way. Rubal, you have a tech product trying to solve country's food waste issue. Do you see more such tech products coming up in the market? And do you think women will dominate this field as well? And also your thoughts on training and education in subject matter to sustain and grow in this industry?
Sure. So I think one is obviously, as we are seeing a change currently, especially I'll talk about Indian geography first. So Indian fresh food supply chain has been purely fragmented for a long time, and the reason being there are too many stakeholders and nothing was organized properly, and also like we were not using technology that much, but obviously the supply chains were also very comparatively not very long distance. But as things changed, a lot of things needed more improvement in efficiency and storages, and such things started happening. And currently we are seeing a very huge influx of capital from global retail, especially in the retail segment. Retail giants are entering the Indian ecosystem, and we are seeing they are investing in modernizing the food supply chain as well. So I think it's a very good time, or the best time, to employ technology to transform the whole supply chain, right? Earlier the capital was missing. Now the capital is there. Earlier the adopters were missing, where it could be made, it could be transformed. But right now it's the best time that technology can be used and the whole supply chain can be restructured and be made highly efficient. And I think it will have its own subjectivity. We don't need to follow any other country, because India has its own different climatic conditions, our own challenges with storage, and that's why the solutions here will be subjective, right? But I think it's a very good time, at least in India. And globally, I think obviously we treat geographies subjectively. We don't employ one solution to the other geography, and that's why we study the geography first and how the supply chain works there. Globally also, one trend is definitely there, that people are becoming more aware, as we know, of the food wastage that is happening and becoming a more conscious consumers, right? We are seeing that trend overall in the West as well. And that is what is driving the change, that people want to, if they are consuming something, for example, any product, for example, why people are becoming vocal for local is also the reason that they don't want something with a high carbon footprint. And that's a reasonable thing, that something is getting grown at my local place nearby. Why would I wanted to travel thousands and kilometers, and by that, so I think that is also there, and that kind of efficiency is definitely getting adopted overall globally, because consumers are demanding, and the drive is coming from the consumers demand that they're becoming more conscious of what they're consuming, and that's why they want a better ecologically sustainable food products, and I think that's important, that technology also helps in achieving that sustainability, right? And coming to your second question about women leading the change there, I think obviously I do not think that there would be any specific gender who would be dominating there, but definitely women have their own positives. I agree totally to Namrata that the equality, like there is no such thing as equality in terms of, if we see factually, people do not have same heights, they do not have same IQ, they do not have, so we are like, if we are looking for equality, we are like just being idealistic, while what we should be looking at is our own strengths, right? As an individual, as a gender, as a society, as a country, and overall as humanity, what we need to focus on is, whenever we are looking to like see if we are capable, we have to just focus on our strengths. And women definitely have, as a gender, have some strengths about understanding food, because they have been more connected with food through the history, and that's a fact, right? We understand food better because we have been dealing with food more compared to the other gender, right? And that's why I think that insights about food, like obviously a typical example, who's more efficient in terms of wastage in food, a woman would be much better in like utilizing every ingredient they have it compared to a man. And that's the reason, because they have been dealing with food and they have an emotional connect with, they don't want food to be wasted. And that's why, and that is the drive that will enable females to lead this, because there has to be an inner drive to whatever you do, and that drive is coming, and that's why we are seeing so many women, right? And I think in terms of skills, definitely I think a lot of programs are now helping in skill development, and government and obviously private organizations who are helping women reach that skill set. And I think as a society we should be contributing in terms of skill development, so that the skill gap is matched, so that we enable more women to transform this journey, right?
Thank you so much, Rubal. Last but not the least, Raksha, what are the key factors affecting growth of women entrepreneurs according to you? And how important is network building for women? Can you also share light on how you went beyond trials on your family and friends and identified the market for your products?
Sure. I think starting with your first question on what are the key factors for for women entrepreneurs, for the growth of women entrepreneurs. I think I completely resonate with the two ladies here, Namrata and Rubal, for sure. So just identifying your own strengths and working with them is definitely one of the key factors. I think all of us have that innate, the strength to kind of do something what we want to do. I think just following our instincts and really believing in yourself. I think that's what it takes. And of course, there's a whole different factors which are people supporting you, your family supporting you, and all of that. So I think that hands down, like that is one of the key factors as well. Like having your family support you in what you want to do definitely is a very empowering thing as well. So that I think for me would be definitely two key factors. One, believe in yourself and just go with the feeling of your inner gut, what you want to do. And the second question was, I'm so sorry, I have lost track of it.
So it was about how important do you think
women networking is?
Yes, women networking. Yes. And how did you go beyond doing trials on your family, just giving your products to your family and friends, and how you identified the market for yourself?
Yeah. So women networking, I think again, as Namrata mentioned, the world is shrinking. So, you have your LinkedIns and you have your Instagrams and everything. So I think networking is something which is uh, quite easy, I think, in this, in this time with all the social media and everything and people on their phones all the time. So it's become faster. It's become easier. I remember when I, started the whole GoDesi and I was taking care of the manufacturing, it was a whole like women dominated field, right? Like sorry, male dominated field, I'm so sorry. We're talking to vendors and doing procurements, everything. They would be shocked to have a lady pick up a phone and say ki mujhe jaggery chahiye ya mujhe chili powder chahiye. Nobody talks like iska price kam kar do. So the women can, but I think we're good at all of this. We're good at negotiating, we're good at procuring. So I think, yeah, for sure that helped. But yeah, there are a lot. I see a lot more women in the field now, and I think as we're growing, there are so many women entrepreneurs um, who are taking charge and who are taking. And I don't. And I also agree with the fact, there is no size or scale of businesses. Like everything is the same. Like whether it be a small one, a boutique business, or you want to do something big, I think women are taking charge in whatever they want to do. So women networking definitely very, very important again in the whole scheme of things. Um, how did we go about, moving from trials with a family and friend? I think we just started seeing there's like a lot of, the word of mouth about the products. It spread through that. So a lot of people came back to us telling that the products are great. We should try them in the market and everything. So we just started selling them in the market. And that's how and when we saw that there's a good traction, people are buying them, people are loving the taste, the familiarness of the product. It just began from there. The format is so different that people wanted to do eat it, and it looked cool while eating. Nobody was ashamed of having a lollipop. So I think all of these factors kind of came together and helped us just build a market for our products where it was familiar taste, it was lower price points. I think that was another thing which worked for us. Our candies are 5 rupees, so that's something that again worked for us. And I think a trust of a brand as well. So how do you kind of bring that to the table and like the brand being like competing with all the Western formats, which is Cadbury or a Kit Kat on the same cash counter versus yours. How do you give that trust? How do you build that brand? So those were some of the factors that kind of helped us build a market for us. So yes, I hope I answered your question. If there's something
Yeah.
that
Definitely, you answered my question really beautifully. Thank you so much, Raksha.
Thank
Last
you.
last 50 minutes have really been insightful for all of us. We have few more minutes to take some of the questions from the audience who are listening to us live on YouTube. So the first question that I have received is for you, Rubal. So the question is, your device works with fresh fruits and vegetables. Can it be used to test cooked food or packaged foods?
So cooked food we are working on. Packaged food, there is a limitation that obviously it becomes a challenge as packaging restricts a lot of testing to be limited. But yeah, there can be things that can be done. So we are working on both currently in terms of understanding it as a pilot, and cooked food is comparatively easier. We are working on that, and for a packaged food there might be some like some tweaks required so that we are able to assess it. For example, maybe we will need to change some of the sensors to assess a packaged food. But yeah, cooked food is comparatively doable. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rubal. Next, I think, is for you, Namrata. So the question is, any new food business idea can you suggest for a country like Dubai?
For a country like Dubai, okay. I haven't really done any research over there to see, but so I think whatever I would say would be very limited by this thing, because I really don't know much about I know what kind of food, but in terms of food idea, see, I think the world is moving towards healthier food options, right? And having said that, what the huge trend or a driver that is also a worldwide phenomenon now is that people are actually snacking a lot more. And I have realized this from friends, family, when I look at people, the snacking format has changed and people are looking for healthier snacking options. So whether it's fries, which are air fried, or whether it's nuts, smaller portions. So people are getting conscious about ingredient. People are getting conscious about what they chuck into their mouth. People want to know about the nutrition info. So you might look at healthy snacking options. Yeah, and that is something, that is a big segment that is actually evolving. So there were always snacks, but then snacks were essentially considered unhealthy. But healthy snacking is the new thing. So I guess that's something that you should be looking at. It's the only thing I can think about.
Thank you so much, Namrata. I think I really hope that is what our listeners were looking for. Last question is for you, Raksha. As you try to scale, don't you see a challenge in maintaining authenticity?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think India is a land of food. Like there is just so much, authenticity in our food, or there are different regions, and there's just so many things that you can bring from different parts of the country. It's amazing, as we are also discovering, like every region has its own delicacy, or every region has its own, very special, very niche dishes. So getting those out is our aim, to the market. So authenticity would is and would be our, a priority always. I think we'll never kind of lose on that for sure. So authenticity and Indian ingredients, I don't think you can uh, let go of them, as in the sense that they're so authentic that they add that value to the food. So for sure.
Thank you so much, Raksha. And we would like to close this session with some quick final remarks. First off to you, Namrata.
Well, I think I'll just go back to what I was saying before. And I think the thought has been echoed by Rubal and Raksha as well, that today is like no other time. There are a lot of opportunities out there. So if you have been sitting on something, you're thinking of a business idea, there is something called speed to market. So do your research, get out there, put forth your idea. I think some of the key things that Rubal mentioned, that there is access to capital. Yeah, there is access to, and there is access to network. You're not limited by network, you're not limited by ideas, you're not limited by capital. All that you have to do is actually have a plan for yourself. The plan will evolve. And I always say that never be very fixated on your idea, because when you take your idea to the market, you have to be open to change and it will evolve. Let it take its shape. Getting to your customers is also a lot more easier today. So my final closing thing is that get out there, all you ladies, young girls, women, whoever has been sitting on a business idea that you want to bring forth, now is the time.
Thank you so much for that beautiful remark, Namrata. Rubal, would you like to add anything to that?
Sure. So I think, I also feel it's important that we identify ourselves and be able to use those strengths to figure out what impact we can make. But I think one thing I would like to share is also that as we do it in kitchen also, that we have to be open to failures, right? Unless we are open to failures, and it's okay to fail, we are okay with when we mess up a dish, but when we are doing a business, it becomes but it's almost similar, like the process is similar. You have to iterate, as Namrata also said, that you have to be open to change, right? Don't fixate and don't be afraid of failure. Be open to the results and iterate based on that. And it's a very amazing journey if you take it that way, right? Don't be afraid of failure, don't be afraid of always being successful, but enjoying the process, learning from the process, and eventually you'll figure out. And it takes time. For all of us, it has taken time. It will take time more. Like it's a constant journey for anyone, right? So is life. So I think it's very important to be open to those learnings and not getting afraid by failure. I think that's very important.
Thank you so much, Rubal. And I totally agree with you. We all should accept our failures as we do with our successes. Raksha, your closing remarks?
Yes, thank you. I think just adding to what Rubal and Namrata just said, believing in yourself, and I think more importantly, also believing in the power of community. So, taking the support from the community, building that community around you, for you, and having this, like-minded people, building that network for yourself. I think that's very, very important and key to growing. I think just growing and learning from others is so important. So for me, it's also, I think, a lot of importance needs to be given to the community around you, and how you build your community. That's very, very close to me as well. So I think just that, getting the support and believing in yourself.
Thank you so much, Raksha. And for the people who are listening to us today, we are also doing a free of cost training on basic catering for women to empower them today on this Women's Day. And it was a pleasure to have such an insightful discussion with all of you over here today. And we hope this has been an interesting and conversation for you as well. And it will trigger some thoughts on the topic. I want to take this time to thank all of you today, Namrata, Rubal, and Raksha, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us. And as we start wrapping up, a little bit about ourselves. We are a food consulting company on a mission to keep food safe for human consumption. Food Safety Conversation is our monthly webinar series to share knowledge from the practitioners on various aspects of food and safety. Please share your feedback on our email ID feedback@foodsafetyworks.in. And if there are few topics that you would like us to cover, please send them to us as well, and we will try to bring them to you. To stay updated on our webinars, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, and our handle is Food Safety Works. We regularly share news and insights about what is going on in the world of food safety. And as a company, we are committed to sharing knowledge and providing end-to-end solutions on food safety. We also conduct regular online trainings on various topics, including the post-act trainings, which are mandated from the FSSAI. And as I just said, we are doing one today free of cost for the women as well. To check out on how we can help you on your journey of health, safety, and food, please visit our website www.foodsafetyworks.com. And while you are there, please do not forget to subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you once again for joining. Have a good rest of the day and wishing you safe times ahead and a very happy Women's Day to all the wonderful women out there.
Thank you so much. It was great. Thank you, Raksha and Rubal.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
So much.
Take care.
See you all later. Bye.